So you see all these pretty flowers around me? Aren't they beautiful? In fact, in late May and June, we see these flowers growing all around. A lot of people think they're phlox, but they're actually not. They are in the mustard family, and their most common name is Dame's rocket. And they actually are not a wildflower, although sometimes they are included in wildflower mixes, like a variety of wildflowers that you buy in a package you can grow along the roadside or something like that. And that's not, they're not actually wildflowers. They were introduced, they were brought to this country probably for ornamental purposes in the 1600s, and they have spread all around. They're in the mustard family. They make seeds. They have seed pods on them. Here, let's see if I can break off a piece here. If you look up at the stem, here's the flowers up here. They have 4 petals, sort of in a cross-shaped form. And then after the flowers have been pollinated, they form these long seed pods, and those will release hundreds of seeds. But the problem with these is because they're not a wildflower, because they're not native, and because they're very successful at spreading their seeds, they are considered an invasive plant. Not everywhere, but they're very widespread across the United States. Most states have this Dame's rocket growing in wild environments like this one, which is a young forest that's grown up from an old field, and it's fairly open, and these flowers have moved into it. Now, they're very pretty, and maybe they're not so much of a problem on the surface, but in some areas, like particularly in floodplain swamps, lowland forests, moist soils and so forth, they can really come in and take over and sort of dominate other plants, and they are spreading fairly rapidly. They're not as bad perhaps, or at least they're not as gotten the attention as much as some of the other very aggressive invasive plants like garlic mustard and others that you may have heard of. But they are becoming a problem, and in fact in some states it's illegal to sell them, to transport them. Massachusetts, Connecticut, Colorado, Wisconsin, a number of states are considered an invasive species. I don't think New York State has declared them an invasive species yet. At least it's not on the New York State invasive species clearinghouse list that I found. But I certainly have found areas like the Larch Meadow Trail at Buttermilks Falls State Park. Is down in Larch Meadow is really a series of wetlands near Ithaca, actually the south edge of Ithaca, that some of it is a shrub swamp and it's wet, and other parts of this floodplain forest along Cayuga Inlet, and there's a lot of ferns that grow in there, like ostrich fern in particular, and the Dame's rocket is spreading amongst these native plants, and perhaps they're having a negative effect on them. But Queen Catherine Marsh, another preserve over in Schuyler County, just south of Watkins Glen, has a great deal of Dame's rocket growing in the forest floor into the forested portion of the wetland and the floodplain forest. So sometimes the flowers we see along the road are actually not really native wildflowers, and in the case of Dame's rocket, like I said, often confused with garden phlox, it's not, and so it kind of colors my perception of them, you might say.